Welcome to day 2 of week 1 of split 2 of the 2020 OPL. I am your host, Nick Boy Richardson, and I am delighted to be with you for the beginning of the first weekend of the split. We saw some shenanigans happening yesterday. There are a couple of upsets. Most upsetting of all, though, has been Skimmy's impressions of the rest of the cast just before the broadcast started. That cast, of course, is Spawn, Rusty, and Skimmy. Skimmy, give us just a taste of, let's say, Spawn.
No, I want to do you because I feel like you're the only one I've cracked out so far. So it goes a little bit like, hello and welcome back to the OPL. My name is Nick Boy Richardson, and we have such a fantastic amount of games going on for you today. 4 best of ones. Big shout out to Neosurf. Big shout out to McDonald's. Back to you.
There's a lot more hand movement there. Like, there's a lot of aggressive pointing that I feel
there you have it. There you have it.
is
Do you
not
like
on
that?
brand for me. I did not like that. Spawn, did you like that?
I think it has, as an expert on impressions, Nick, as someone that has done many of successful impression in my time,
Please.
I felt like it had merit. I think it needs to be tweaked a little bit. I agree, a little bit too much energy for a father of 2, but I think
true.
Can potentially build towards something successful.
Maybe this was Nick in his youth.
Maybe. That could have been me in my youth. Rusty, how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Just cruising along. It's a weekend. No assessments due on Monday, Nick. No stress whatsoever. Only all of them and lots of stress.
Yeah, I was going to say, the discussion we had yesterday about the intense schedule you are about to come across sounds no fun. What is fun is another evening of the OPL. Of course, that is thanks to our sponsors, Neosurf, Macca's, and Epos, and the games we have coming at you today. Let's bring them up and take a look at what you can look forward to for the rest of the evening. Game number 1, we have Chiefs versus Gravitas. Game 2, Avant Gaming taking on the Direwolves. Game 3, Pentanet.gg versus Mammoth. And finally, Order versus Legacy, rounding out the evening. We all kind of agreed yesterday that Order versus Legacy is the banger amongst the group. But personally, I'm excited about game number 1. I feel like Chiefs falling yesterday to PGG was not the way that they would have wanted to start that split. Rusty, can they bring it back today?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do still have to look for the bounce back. Is it possible for the Chiefs to have an entirely bad week 1, or was that just a tiny blip on the radar? Is always going to be something to explore. I think our expectations will still be that the Chiefs will just bounce back no problems, but it'll be very refreshing to still see it, the angry Chiefs in day 2.
Because it is important to remember that even last split, when Chiefs and Legacy were kind of beating everyone, they still dropped games every now and again. I think that Legacy lost against Avant Gaming once, and that Chiefs lost against maybe Avant, maybe someone else. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there were blips on the radar last... Oh my god, my headset is killing me. There were blips on the radar last split as well. And what we learned from those blips is that you do not want to play one of the top teams the day after they lose one of those matches. Because that's when you get 22 minutes and they just style on you, right? So I think
it's angry gaming.
It is angry gaming, Skimmy. It was us in match 4 of the game we were playing last night.
That was some angry gaming.
Some sweaty, angry gaming is what I'm expecting today.
Sweaty gaming is what we can all expect. What you can expect is a prize from Neosurf, because we are running our Neosurf competition for the next couple of weeks. Our partner Neosurf want you to be part of the OPL opening video. You can win yourself $500 in a Neosurf voucher to use in the League of Legends store. All you need to do is take a video of yourself joining our opening call, the opening titles, follow Neosurf Esports and OPL on Twitter, and then share it using the hashtag NeosurfWin. You've got until week 3 of the OPL to get your entries in, and we'll be judging them. So get creative, make us laugh, do a better job than what we did. Full terms and conditions are on watch.lolesports.com, and while the first prize is a $500 Neosurf voucher, we're going to give 5 runners-up $100 each to spend in the League of Legends store, thanks to our partner Neosurf, the only solution that lets you pay cash online to thousands of websites, including League of Legends. That's a big deal. That's a big, exciting deal. So thank you very much, Neosurf. What else is a big deal is we're cracking open the Nick bag today. We're doing a full 3-seg Nick bag. So please send in your questions about literally anything. Spawn, do you have a theme that you would encourage people to go with, but not demand?
Before we get into this, did you used to listen to the Hamish and Andy show, Nick?
Yeah.
Do you remember when Hamish had Fred Bassett, and he always wanted to do his Fred Bassett of the week?
Mm-hmm.
And Andy used to try and dissuade him by doing things like shredding his driver's license before they were supposed to drive around the country and stuff. I'm starting to feel like I'm the Andy Lee in this situation, and your Nick Bag is becoming the Fred Bassett between our relationship.
You're going to have to tease that one out more for me.
I mean, I feel like the Nick Bag, it needs to be a special subject today. I want to see like deep and meaningful conversations. Because if I get the surface level shit that I got out of Nick Bag last time, I feel like we're starting to beat the horse a little bit with the old crappy Nick Bag questions. I'm challenging chat. Get me something good in there.
I will say that I believe the last Nick Bag question we had on MSS was what to do when the love of your life is in love with someone else. I feel like that's, Rusty, that's about as unsurface level as you can get.
It's a deep cut, isn't it, of a question? I mean, I don't remember if our answer was very profound. It tends to be surface level answers.
I think we suggested
also
some weird three-way relationship off the top of my head.
That's right. Was that Juves?
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I said, I was thinking about this today. I said that you should do a big grand romantic gesture, and if they say no, then move on. And then the chat just yelled at me and called me a boomer for believing in romance. I'm sorry that I'm not 19 years old and all I give a crap about is like getting laid on TikTok. But as you grow up, you will realize that romance is just as important as those stupid 20-second viral hump memes. So, just remember that romance goes a long way.
So good.
Skimmy, you're in a relationship. You know that.
Of course. I was wondering where you were going to go when you said 20-second TikTok videos, if there was going to be any continuation of that, but I'm glad you didn't go there.
No, I refuse to go there.
Thank you.
Where we will go is taking a look at Game 1, Chiefs versus Gravitas, Spawn, Gravitas, some upheaval over the break. How are they going to fare against Chiefs?
Yeah, I mean, this is a Gravitas lineup that I think became more well-rounded, and we saw that in play yesterday. Obviously, had to play without their star jungler against Order, which would have really hurt. Emergency substitution as well as second-round loss of ban certainly didn't do them any favors in their game. But Kwaku, he made one mistake, then looked pretty okay. I think Suman in the mid lane is still very dangerous. I actually think that mid-jungle duo is where you have to look, and we keep talking about it. This is the Chiefs' strengths as well, so... the scary thing about when you run into a team that shares the same strength as you, they only have to have a good day, and then your game plan becomes very difficult to execute upon.
Yeah, and I think strategy-wise as well, you could even start the game with something at level 1, right? Like, just get the ball rolling in your direction, because if you are good in those roles, there may only be the 1%ers that separate you, and there are very easy ways as a team to try and get around those. Of course, it's not going to last forever in a game. A lot of class from the best teams happens from 15 minutes onwards, but there's still a way to get the ball rolling in your direction at the start as well to help that.
Skimmy, how did you see Kwaku fitting into the Gravitas vibe yesterday?
I feel like he brings in a sense of consistency. I feel like when Pabu came in there, he just wanted to be the sort of outspoken character of I'll play anything that's crazy. You know, we had Darius, we had Trendemir, we had anything that could just sort of be a thorn in their backside and very sort of early game reliant. I guess, you know, you talk about the relationship between himself and Praylist. There's obviously a lot of banter there. So they were just a bunch of mates having a good time on the Rift. I feel like Kwaku... that's pretty much what I mentioned yesterday, right? If he continues the strength he displayed at the end of Split 1, I feel like he's going to definitely give himself a case of becoming the most improved player of Split 2 as well.
Also, just some solidarity, Nick. You know, we saw yesterday their bottom lane got killed, their mid lane, I think, or jungle got killed. So Kwaku just wandered underneath Swiper's turret, and he also got killed, you know? He just went down with the boys. He's one of those teammates that you want to have him on the team. If you could go to war with anyone, you would take Kwaku because he's 6'17". I mean, from what we know of him, right, he seems like a really positive dude. And I think that Pabu and him share that similarity. During the game, they will always be positive. And I think he can be played away from, which will help Puma out, especially, because Puma did show that he's a very good AD carry.
Absolutely. And I think Skimmy would agree with me when I say that Kwaku's greatest strength is probably his youth. So it's exciting to have that kind of youth on Gravitas. All right, it's time to jump into game number 1. Don't forget to send your Nick Bag questions to asknickboy@gmail.com, and we will be back with game number 1, Chiefs versus Gravitas, after this short break and the Macca's Champ Select.
Well, here we go. Let's kick it off with the very first game of the second day to open up Split 2 of the OPL 2020. The Chiefs searching for that victory. They want to bring it up against what was a crippled Gravitas in their performance yesterday, but they bring back in Praelis, the captain, the steward that guides the ship in the right direction. He'll be obviously looking to add that sense of a steady hand and sort of know what you're getting when you have him. I feel like for me, Praelis has always been that one you look towards. There have so many times last split where you're thinking, okay, what are the kind of conditions that you're having to try and match here in terms of banning, targeting, and resourcing into, and it was always Praelis, so it's good to see him back in the mix.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Skimmy, and I think that you can see the bans speak to that, the volumes towards that. They ban away Graves and Trundle, definitely two of Praelis' best champions. They go with Ezreal, which kind of makes the Nidalee pick quite difficult to play as well. So just getting rid of a lot of tempo junglers and making sure that Praelis is a little bit uncomfortable. I think that this is a Gravitas lineup that is going to rely on their jungler a lot. I think that their double assassin comps especially rely on Praelis. They tried to play it yesterday versus Order.
Yeah.
And it looked okay, but I think that had Praelis been in that game, it certainly would have looked way more promising. And this is what we spoke about. Like, immediately locking him on, even though things like Silas and Fiora and stuff like that are up and available, just shows how much Quaku is willing to be played away from. Skimmy, this is a guy that definitely doesn't need resources.
Yeah, it was his most played champion last split when he was on Mammoth. He had 6 games on that across what was a long season for him. But, they're going to go with the Kaiser again here in Gravitas. It's a pick that seems to be becoming more and more prominent now as a result of some recent play and recent action in the scene. But if we flip the script now over to the Chiefs, it's going to be Katsuri locking himself with an Ezreal in a Split 1 performance that was heavily revolved around the likes of a Misfortune and an Aphelios. So good to see him flicking that. And the Karma as well was a pick that we saw a lot, especially in weeks 9 and 10 and into the playoffs. Heavy priority between Nat, not in a supporting role, but with Claire playing a fair bit of it too.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Because of how aggressive Croc can be in the jungle, Skimmy, you always want to be able to flex that Karma if you are the Chiefs, because it gives you mid lane prio. But more importantly, it gives you like really strong skirmish ability. Thresh is another one of those picks that if you're a jungler and you have a Thresh on your team, that skirmish ability is certainly going to be much higher with a Thresh. So I think already both of these teams looking for a little bit of a biff. It is the OPL. I would be remiss to think that we aren't going to team fight at some stage of this game. But the Chiefs' composition right now just looks a little bit too elusive for my liking. I think we need some more hard engage out of the Gravitas lineup if they are going to be able to pin these members down.
Yeah, the Silas coming in there seems to be almost, I don't want to call it a knee-jerk reaction, but a pick that is obviously going to give them a fair bit of flexibility and not feel that they are too down and out, given the Ornn. A nice little ultimate for them to acquire for themselves to turn the tide of a fight and make it look their way, which we know is what Chiefs want to do. They want to team fight, they want to get aggressive, they want to utilize as many resources as possible to facilitate that kind of playstyle. Coming to the second round of banning, and Gravitas going to open up that with another jungle ban, taking away the Kindred. Response from the Chiefs is the Olaf, so yeah, it really feeds that idea that Croc being the MVP of Split 1 and Praelis being the real stern hand. That is where the eggs go into that basket.
Yeah, and I want to discuss kind of these teams that had strong junglers, like Chiefs and Legacy. Because on paper, it looks like with the change in jungling, with these carry junglers coming back in, it's like, wow, they're going to be so much stronger. But sometimes that's not how it works, Skimmy. Sometimes it's easier to play carries into tanks in the jungle, especially if your team is willing to play around that. And both Babip and Croc were also really good utility players, right? They had good Gragas's, had good Jarvans. Sure, they would be willing to play things like Nidalee and Kindred every now and again, but now when people are fighting fire with fire, it makes the game very different. So I just think that, have to always account for changes in meta, and even though it does seem it should suit these guys, you can see the Chiefs don't seem to agree because they've removed, 4 junglers themselves away from Croc, and a lot of them are junglers that it look like should suit him.
That they are. I mean, we've seen Croc definitely love the Nidalee when he gets a chance to play. And he played it once, but it was a very important game when it was up against Legacy, in a game that you'd argue he hard carried on his own will. So for him, he's definitely still got a lot of champions available in the mix. We're talking Jarvan, we're talking Lee Sin, a pick that they've now just locked in, which is going to fit him very nicely. For Praelis, his top 2 are Split 1. We're taken away with the Echo and the Olaf, and he is going to be the one to go to Nidalee. Fiddlesticks denied after what happened yesterday. I saw the Chiefs getting a little bit outspoken there on social media about how annoying that was to face when Pabu brought that into the mix. So they want to make sure that there's no shenanigans that can dash across the wall.
Well, the thing about Fiddlesticks, Skimmy, is it should be really weak the first, 6-7 levels of the game. should be invaded on repeat, and it should be set behind. But Pabu navigated that section of the game incredibly well. He did it by going Moby Boots as his first item, so he could get away from a lot of the engages that were coming his way. And then they paired it with a Callista that meant he could play off the objective more times than not. And I was really vocal about speaking about this, because if you don't have sight of Fiddlesticks, it is a much more scary game. You know, the game becomes a lot more dangerous. And Callista is the only champion that I can think of, apart from a spellbook user, that allows your jungler to play off the objective that you're hitting. So I just thought that, you know, it wasn't just the Fiddlesticks, because I was looking at a couple of those threads. Yeah. I think it was more... I think it really was more of like a well-crafted composition put together by Western Way and the Pentanet.gg management that the team did play well, but I just thought the strategy was really, really brilliant.
Yeah, it was clever, and one that we've really been identifying with Pentanet for a fair bit of time. But as to this game itself, the Chiefs have got themselves a really nice hard-shoving bot lane there with the Ezreal and the Karma. A lot of poke, going to really be able to abuse Beats now in that support role. Now having played 4 out of the 5 roles in this game for this team, the diversity of this man is insane. And to play the Fresh here, we've got so many fantastic Fresh players in the OPL. He is going to have his work cut out for him, given the amount of poke. If he can't land those engages, they're going to fall down very early.
Yeah, and this is the thing, right? You're going to have to be able to get Nidalee in that lane off some really good CC from Thresh, because otherwise, you're exactly right, Skimmy. This is a spell-flinging lane, if I've ever seen one. Yeah. What I mean by that is they want to push you into the turret, then they just want to shoot Qs at you the whole time while you're trying to like busily CS and stuff like that. They'll make you play against the wave. Thresh can be, like, the best Thresh players love lanes like that. They love to be able to catch you in a long lane, chase you down with Lantern, chase you down with flays and hooks and things like that. But we haven't seen Beats play it yet, so I'm very, very curious to see what happens today.
I'm curious to see exactly how this matchup goes in mid lane, as both mid laners, their number 1 champion was the LeBlanc. It's going to be Beats, Siamun, who actually has LeBlanc in this game, with Claire debuting out the Syndra. Didn't actually get a performance of that last split, so we're very excited to see what he can actually do. No, not a single game, only 1 Rumble, Yasuo and Silas. Otherwise, your more conventional, standard control mages with the Orianna, Lissandra, and we touched, obviously, on the Karma as well, which they've now flexed into Dragku's hands. So, here we go. Claire rocking the Syndra, but it's game number 1 of the day. 4 best-of-1s for your Saturday entertainment. It's Chiefs taking on Gravitas.
Are you a napper, Skimmy?
I am, especially when my girlfriend wants to nap. It's one of those times where you chuck on a Netflix movie, boom, you're gone.
I had one of those days today, right, where I was super tired. I got up, you know, pretty early, and then I went to bed at like 11:30.
Yeah.
And I got up at like 2:30. And now my day is kind of like, it feels like it's 2 days.
I get that.
Do you ever have that experience?
I get that. Do you know what's even worse than that, I feel, though? Is when you've stayed up living quarantine gamer hours, you're going to bed at, say, 5 a.m., you wake up at 2 p.m., the day is already over. You feel a little bit sad.
I agree. A little bit of an fade coming out here. That was a clever trap set up by the Gravitas lineup, but they were just a little bit too slow, Skimmy. They wanted to be able to catch them on that ward, but not able to do so. It looks like pretty standard lanes. Jungle is both starting topside, Croc without a leash, Prayless with one. So Prayless should be pretty quick around this jungle, Skim Boss. Nidalee, very, very fast jungler. Yeah,
going to be definitely looking to try and match what Croc can do here on Lee Sin, who's no doubt going to want to make sure that they get their campaign off here to a flying start. Not wanting to fall victim to an 0-2 start would not be the dream. We talked about how good they and Legacy got off in Split 1. They were undefeated. I think they went on like an 8-10 win streak. It was absolutely insane before you had those blips on the radar. And now here it is. Praetor's already been active with the red buff, showing up for the level 2 gank. Red buff and the spear will not connect. And we'll just drive on by to the bottom scuttle.
And very interesting that that's what Prayless goes for, because you would assume that he would be pathing down bottom lane. He would want to get there with as many camps tanked as possible. He has a really quick Raptor clear. But instead of doing any of the things I spoke about, Skimmy, he instead just decides to waste a lot of time in the mid lane. And now Croc is actually going to be level 3 to Prayless's level 2, and on the correct side of Summoner's Rift to protect his bottom lane. So Puma and Beats could cop a beating here. No wordplay intended, just off the jungle positioning.
And as if that bottom lane wasn't rough enough as it stood, you know, with all that poke and harass, the jungler gets in the mix as well. Things go from bad to worse, but this is the top laners having that biff, as you discussed. The Ornn and Silas matchup, a lot of fun, a lot of sustain to try and juke and jive. The assassination attempt that a Brittle Proc can really achieve, but then the chains that connect, the sustain that comes out as a result. You're going to see these health bars fluctuating and a potential all-in here as Tien looks for it. The crab emote goes out, and he goes clapping as the Chiefs get first blood.
And that's really well played by Tien. He made the lane really spicy. And the thing that you don't want to do if you're playing, as hold the thought, Skimmy. All good. The thing you don't want to do when you're playing into something like a Sylas is allow it to snowball early. Because he trades into his wave better than any other melee champion, just because of the AoE. You can see that he, was able to stack a wave solo into Kwaku that meant he was falling down. Unfortunately, Prelist was pathing back towards Kwaku, but didn't get there in time to be able to impact that. Now the wave's going to be pushing out. He's on the wrong side of Summoner's Rift, and the game already in all sorts for the Gravitas lineup.
Yeah, and it's really starting to showcase what this means here. The amount of harassment that can come out there, and Beats not having any consumable potions is unable to survive that harassment. Croc, meanwhile, has gone from bottom scuttle to top scuttle, complete vision control, and you could argue that a lot of this came based on Prelist's attempt for that level 2 gank.
Yeah, that level 2 gank sucked, Skimmy. Revisionist history and everything aside, I just don't know what you're trying to accomplish there as the Nidalee. Just purely off the fact that Nidalee, wants to farm, wants to get towards that level 6. On the Runic Echo's Spike is one of the strongest junglers in the game. There's a whole reason that AP junglers are being played more at the moment. The Dark Seal as well as Runic. And Kwaku, once again, in some trouble here.
Sonic Wave was there for the minion. As it comes into the lane, it would have been a potential option, but Kwaku does still take that beating, gets dropped down to half.
And now he can't even... Look at his wave, though, Skimmy.
Oh, he's frozen out. It's pushing away from him. This is the absolute worst nightmare, if there ever was one.
And Prelist is saying, don't worry about it. I just took a Raptor camp. And Kwaku's like, yeah, but I'm going to die again or lose 20 CS.
Trading health bar for CS. You could say, look at the CS, he's ahead right now, but, the ramifications, this wave continues to push away from him. It's only going to go worse and worse, and always the ever-looming threat of where is Croc?
Yeah, exactly right. It's a little bit of a game right now. Bien actually might have pushed the wave out there. A little bit of a mishap. Beats looking...
Beats looking okay. I did not think that connected, but regardless, it did. This is the all-in attempt as the Ignite comes across. Prelist wants it. Seaman gets it. He connects with a kill of his own. That's a beautiful little rotation there from Beats, having the understanding that, hey, despite me falling behind in my own lane, I can at least influence another.
Okay, that's a big swing point. Hold the thought. We'll talk about after.
Just the Croc possession that you are highlighting beforehand. Tien steals the ult and utilizes it. Croc not level 6 just yet, but is going to be able to dive underneath between tier 1 and tier 2. Forces the flash out. Spear connects. It hits Croc. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade as junglers exchange blows.
Human's
and
here.
Just may chase. Seaman is here, as you highlight, now looking for a 2-0 scoreline to start this game off with an absolute bang, and he connects. Prelist lives, and Gravitas even the scoreline at 6 minutes.
Yeah, it's a really nicely played from Suman to rotate up there. He's going to have to push this top lane out, and you can see that already Kwaku is heading towards the mid lane, so that's a really good call from the Gravitas lineup. Much more active game of League of Legends than I think we've seen so far. This is Kwaku actually doing a really good job to live the initial part of the gank. He dashes to make maximum distance. As Croc is chasing him, he actually flashes into his creep wave. That's really annoying as Lee Sin. You can see that Lee Sin, in the end, actually has to burn his own flash Skimmy and still gets taken down. And then the fact that Thien also chased for it when he probably should have just let Croc pick that one up means that he's also going to die. Nearly takes Prelist with him, but burns the flash and is ultimately not successful in trading. So a lot of summoner spells going down, and now that Prelist has a kill for himself and that red smite, could be a lot more active on Summoner's Rift. As holy cow, this bottom lane looks annoying to play.
Oh, it hurts. And, you talk about that mid lane swing. Well, you're looking at bot lane. It continues to go unheard of. They had that one kill. They've had that single exchange. But they are giving us and the viewers at home a gentle reminder of, do not forget what we can admit right now. There is a big CS disadvantage, and that's allowing us, despite everything that's happened, to still claim priority and rotate for the first objective.
Yeah, maybe even get a lot of the damage onto the turret Skimmy. There's only 2 plates there. One more misplay from Puma or Beats and that turret's going to go down. Good job here from Suman to try and contest the river control still. I like that. When you're the person that's 2-0-0, you need to get active on Summoner's Rift. Kwaku, despite being 0-2 as well, has done a really good job of still being close enough to be relevant in this game, Skimmy. He's only down a level and about 400 gold, which, given the attention so far, is a lot closer than I thought it would be. to be completely honest.
Feels like times of old, where he was the focal point of trying to deny, and a lot of this came by the fact that he was very rigid in his approach of pick me on every single game. And things started to really evolve from there on.
Okay, very
he's obviously
interesting.
got some. He's also got some solid points to talk about. I was just want to quickly highlight in mid lane there what it actually meant for CMN on this LeBlanc. A lost chapter, a dark seal, and boots compared to what Claire has. That is the big swing you're talking about.
Yeah, completely agree, and that's just going to give him the mana to be able to push out the wave and roam. I think we've talked about, actually, Claire, of why he rushes Dark Seal on LeBlanc when a lot of other mid laners go with boots too. And he says it's just if you don't think you can kill your lane, it's the ability to go kill other lanes. And that seems to be the focal point right now. What I was saying was interesting is Theon's actually maxing Q on Sylas. Normally on new Sylas, you max W with 40% cooldown reduction. You have that down to like 3 seconds, and it's just an execute and a heal, and it's what makes him really strong in the laning phase. I don't really understand what makes the Q max strong, because that was the ability that you used to max Skimmy before it was just completely gutted. So that's an interesting one.
Have to wait and see if it's going to be an interaction of him having hard engage and coupling that with the likes of Croc jumping in as well. We'll have to wait and see. They've definitely had a fair amount of attention shown this way as they tickle the idea of going for a top Herald. No lane flip at this stage, quite content, and why wouldn't they be? I mean, they've got everything they've desired in this bottom lane. You highlight before, only a few plates remain. If they could acquire that and then force the flip, they'd be in such a good spot before the 14-minute mark.
However, it is still only 300 gold, the difference. And I do think there is some good scaling on the side of the Gravitas lineup. You know, when you have a look at something like Kai'Sa, she's a terrific scaler, a beautiful team fighter as well. So I think that there is room for this Gravitas lineup to play the mid to late game stages. Obviously, if their bottom lane is incredibly far behind, as they are right now, it's not going to be easy to get to that stage of the map, Skimmy, but they are still within touching distance.
It becomes the question now as to where does Praylist direct his attention? Does he just forfeit bottom lane and say, it is what it is, there is not really much that I can do to affect this lane, I need to now focus on our win conditions. You highlight Kai's having amazing scaling, but will need time to get there, especially given the tier build. Do I now try to help Quaker, who in the top lane, who does deny the stun knock-up by making himself unstoppable with the Flame Breath? Croc once again showing that I am here. Round 2 with the Ornn ult. The Horn deploys, CMN is rocking up, does not connect with the tether. And that may be all she wrote, although in saying that, he fights fire with fire, flash ignite, burns the summoners, and connects himself for now 3 kills. Praylist on the rotation, but a beautiful lantern from Beats as he flashed forwards. He nearly connects with a death sentence. He wanted to put himself up in the Hall of Fame as an OPL fresh player. Nice idea, but the execution, luckily for Chiefs, does not pay off.
However, it is still a 1-for-0 trade. Bottom lane turret does fall. Everything's said and done. You can see how far Katsuri is ahead. But still only 1,000 gold, Skimmy. And this game is still very interesting. Because you would expect, once again, the top side of the Chiefs to completely run over Gravitas. You know, Theon versus Quaku seems to be a wash, but Quaku equal in gold. Done a really great job despite all the ganking pressure that has come out. When you have a look at, you know, Praylist into Croc, we're talking about the MVP against the, I think, 6th or 7th place jungler. But, you know, the Gravitas lineup just doing a really, really good job of staying relevant, staying within touching distance. And once again, they have a really nice comp for these mid-game fights.
And I think that's a great point that you highlight. You know, the amount of tension that we've visibly seen gone this way, and despite everything, they are dead even. That's a fantastic result and an outcome for Quaker, who's no doubt wanting to hit those item spikes, hit that level 13 mark, start unlocking the ornaments for the rest of his team, especially CMN here on this LeBlanc. Got the Runic Echoes, or sorry, got the Luden's Echoes, the non-jungle variation of that, if you will. This is the one that has that Runic Echo. Will be Praylist going for the 1v1 as CMN gets amongst it. Double AP coming in with the burst. Croc goes hunting and decides against it in the end.
And just look at the damage from the Nidalee at this stage. This is a really hotly contested topic, right? Runic Echoes versus Warrior and the power of AP junglers in the current meta. People saw like a ton of Eve in the off-season running around solo queue. And just their ability to snowball Skimmy, because they still have access to Medjayas, whereas Sword of the Occult, which was the AD version of Medjayas when I was playing the game, has been gone for like 5-6 years now, right? So AP junglers just scale so much better. And if Praelis can find a couple of these cheeky picks on the Nidalee, the healing steroid that comes out for Kai'Sa is actually incredibly relevant and should still have some good late game relevancy. You know, with the poke siege setup of Nidalee, with the heal for the attack speed steroid, not the worst late game jungler.
No doubt the combination between Nidalee and Kai'Sa's own kit there will definitely give their ability to not only dash to a kill target backline, but then definitely delete for the sustained initiation. Quaku now in a 1v3 situation. Two-man knock-up. The Herald takes down top turret, but there won't be casualties. As Krog looks to disengage away, Safeguard comes online, Tien jumps into the backline, acting as LeBlanc. He's got the cosplay on, but it does deal the damage. That's an all-important shutdown that he needs. Steals the ult and steals the health bar. The Herald still on 200 health will get a second headbutt off, the absolute dream in what was a Gravitas attempt to turn things around. But Claire has no mana, he's used the ultimate. They may have overstayed their welcome now.
Yeah, they certainly could have. And the big difference there is just Theon, who was on the bottom side of Summoner Rift, had teleport available. Whereas, you have a look at Puma right now. He certainly did not. He's just stuck in the bottom lane, unable to impact any of these plays, right? So I think this was a little bit of an overreach from the Gravitas lineup. I love the initial look, however, as that looked like it was definitely going to work. Croc goes in.
This time the flash connects and he will not get punished by any kind of counteract, and he's going to now look for a double kill. Beautiful hook there, but it's not going to be enough. Beats could not save that one, and a kill now goes the way of Katsuri. He's looking for more. This is why he's the MVP. He shows up every time. And now just influenced his team and made the score sheet 7-4.
Okay, now the game is going to be very tough, because if the initial trade wasn't bad enough, the one kill as well as the turret falling down, you at least could say, hey, we got some items onto Puma. He's back in this game. But now that the further 3 kills have gone over Skimmy, 5,000 gold the lead. That's just, nearly irrecoverable from the Gravitas lineup.
Always a beautiful sight when you get to see Croc have those pop-off moments on his jungle performances. Let's actually see how this all planned. It looks as if they wanted to disengage, but he says, no, if the Sonic Wave connects, I'm always going in.
So at one point, this is a kill and a turret for all of the farm onto Puma, which is absolutely fine. But then when Prela face checks that brush, there's no vision in there, will fall down. Red Smite, so OP in situations like this. Quaku over the wall, thinks that he's kind of baiting Croc in, but obviously Katsuri and Dragu's still in support. And from here, it's, you kind of got to cut your losses at some point, Skimmy. And they just never did that. They continued to try and chase that loss, and it made for a little bit of ugly League of Legends in this mid-game. They were so close, and now it's a 4,000 gold discrepancy.
Everything they worked so hard to try and do and stabilize in that early stage of the game has definitely been undone. Croc continues to bully, continues to look for situations with the Conqueror fully stacked on up. He will take a massive beating as a result of the Bretzel stacks. And, well, after giving him all the praise, Quaku says, let's bring this one back in touching distance. Dragon spawning in 90 seconds as they assert themselves in a 1-3-1 formation.
Yeah, really well done from Quaku there. He was going to win that 1v1 regardless of Praelis turning up, I think, actually. Given the fact that Croc didn't have Flash available. You can see that Claire doesn't do all that much damage to the Abyssal Mask on at this stage of the game either, so certainly good positioning around this bottom side of Summoner's Rift now, and potentially a pick onto Dragu. Why did they exit the brush? They had everything in their favor.
They may just go from lane to lane now as they try and catch Claire between 2 turrets. Ideally looking for a pick before this Dragon does spawn, with both teams sitting on 1 apiece. They really want to try and get themselves some pressure in this game right now, because they are hemorrhaging turrets like you would not believe it. That's going to be the 3rd turret that Chiefs will pick up, and that is now 2 exposed in the top side of this map. And we've seen how many times the Chiefs, and Tien in particular, is always looking to really hard push those side lanes and always give the opposition a massive headache as to, do we contest? Are we going to lose our inhibitor? What is the call?
Yeah, well, the call is so much more difficult when you're only running a solo tank, right? Because if they have the push in the side lane, and Quaku is a person that's supposed to be answering it, how do you enter this fog of war without a tank? It is very difficult to do so.
Looks through it again. Hits him with the roundhouse. Now looking for the Sonic Wave. Gets juked. The Tether will not connect, however, but he buys himself a bit of time for his team to rotate across.
And I mean, that's just Suman really gone from the fight, isn't it?
It is.
The threat of the LeBlanc, if she's not at full health, is quite low.
That's what Proc needed to do.
Yeah, not really worried about this dragon. This is a nice dragon for Gravitas to get, but not really all that relevant to give over. Although it looks like they still want to fight it.
That they do. Horns come out left, right, and center. A nice little stopwatch to deny the kill, but that's going to be one. Now going into two. Stopwatch after stopwatch, but everything lights up blue. Chiefs in their colors, and Chiefs with the win. They take them all down. Only Puma survives as he was holding mid-wave. Unable to access the team fight. Unable to influence the outcome. Now Chiefs sitting on 2 dragons to 1.
That's a really strange fight, Skimmy. Once again, it's just a mountain dragon. It's not going to put them anywhere near Soul Point at this stage of the game. Why are we fighting for something that really isn't going to have all that much impact on the game? And you can see that Proc's still not done. Chases Puma out of the jungle. The Chiefs just take everything when they win a fight. They ensure all waves are pushing. They ensure they clear out all of the jungle camps. But just, again, you can't force action like this. Top lane wave in a bad position. Bottom lane wave in a shocking position. And sure, they will get a really good knock-up, but if Puma isn't flying into the backline off that and looking for assassinations with the LeBlanc, I just don't think you have a winning team fight. Kwaku does his job really well, gets multiple knock-ups, multiple Bellows breasts across, members of that team, but without this Kai'Sa having any real impact, and with Suman entering the fight at half health, you're not going to win those skirmishes.
And you can see there from the replay that Puma hanging around this side of the brush, unable to really find a situation in which he could really join in. And what it's actually meant, given the state of how bot lane went, is that Katsuri is able to pick up the majority of those kills. Now 3-0 and 3, 2 major completed items, and a jungler that just gets deleted. 20 minutes in, Baron spawning, and they are controlling top side of the jungle.
Yeah, they're controlling everywhere. You can see they still have Thien as well in that bottom side of Summoner's Rift. Beats has had to go back for more wards because he's been continually just forced out of vision. They continue to sweep it. They've got multiple sweepers on their lineup at the moment. Multiple good control wards in key areas. And Suman, you're next.
Who's up next on the chopping block? It appears to be. They are definitely angry gaming as he plays a little bit of fancy feet there with his clones. Uses the flash at the last moment to try and cause some form of distraction, but now they turn their attention to a collapse onto Tien to say, stop pushing these side lanes. That's a nice little acquisition and one that Puma so desperately needed.
But I think they need a couple more. Like that pick, because they're so far behind Skimmy, you can only go for that pick so many times. But off the back of the pick, they're looking for the fight.
Ornn on the flank right now, looking to try and prevent this inhibitor falling on down. It won't save that as Beats falls down. Makes it a 4v5 straight away, or 4v4 given Tien is not here. That won't change them. Kwaku with the flank is unable to find a situation in which he can make a difference. The Chiefs got what they came for. They get themselves a kill as a bonus. And now they can disengage knowing that they have the Winions on their side.
Yeah, pretty importantly, Kwaku did get both carries flashes in that exchange. Katsuri as well as Claire now don't have flash available. So there is a world where a team fight goes a little bit better for this Gravitas lineup. Just thinking about, the damage that LeBlanc currently has, the damage that the Kai'Sa is starting to pick up as well. Kai'Sa also was a beneficiary of the Thien shutdown, which is exactly where you want the gold to be. So, signs of life from Gravitas. They also have a free lane to kind of farm at the moment. I would expect them to try and park Kai'Sa in there, give up next dragon in a minute 40, maybe only challenge Baron would be my advice for them at this stage of the game. If they get Kai'Sa transform and one more Kai'Sa item, maybe a Banshee's Veil would be really, really great actually against Thien and Claire, then they have an opportunity this game to be able to turn it around.
I think that's definitely the area of the map you're looking at right now. The evolve not only on her kit, but also on that into the Muramana itself to match that of Katsuri's Ezreal. He's obviously ahead in 2 different items right now, and that's because of a 2,000 gold discrepancy. And we've seen how many times Mr. King Robert himself has got those pentakills or given those resources to showcase what he can do. Very, very strong on his Ezreal. He's been putting on a fair bit of work over the off-season to make sure that is up to scratch, given the ADC meta has slightly shifted away from the Misfortune Aphelios style of gameplay.
Depends where you're watching, mate. I was saying this last night. I don't know how much of the LPL you watch, but Aphelios seems to be super high priority everywhere but OS right now. So it will be interesting to track kind of, as we are the first region back, to see kind of if the Ezreal stays high prio. Varus has been pretty much exclusively banned. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Quaku trying to run away.
Once again, they turn their attention onto him, always attacking these side lanes. We've taken inhibitor top lane. Now Tien's objective is let's push through bot and set ourselves up for success in that part of the map here as well. That way we have so much control, so many flanking opportunities. Let's bully this. Let's put it on a timer before Quaku cannot influence the rest of his team with these ornaments.
Yeah, and the thing is they have double TP, right? So there's no real chance that this Baron falls down. However, it is actively being done. So if they don't respond at all, it can skimmy.
Wow.
And they're not reacting at all.
They just don't care. The True Shot Barrage will reveal it. Croc is there for a steal. Praylist is so low. Redemption will come on down. Is he going to go for the steal?
He got it.
The MVP of Split 1 does it again. They get value in the bot lane. They come straight into the Baron pit. They reveal it. They steal it. They take it. No time for a wing comeback. Croc, how does he seem to do this every single time, Spawn? I don't believe it. Now they're going to pick up kills. And it just goes from absolute bad to worse.
You hate to see it, Skimmy. You really hate to see it. No one responds on Summoner's Rift. They get there incredibly late. It should have just been to watch the Baron fall down, you know. Opportunity for Beats to be able to keep him out. Opportunity for multiple members to go over the wall. But they don't do that. They don't keep him out. He comes in, he steals the Baron. I think it was 90 health when he gets the smite down. And that's a really key point in this game, because if Gravitas had been able to get that Baron, that would have been the definition of a scaling Baron. You know, of the Baron that kind of stalls out the game, gives them some outer turrets. But now with the Baron, with 2 Mountain Dragons, Chiefs can look to end.
That they sure can. A heart-sinking moment as a Gravitas fan, as the player themselves, given the state of how this game was going, the trajectory, the turnaround of events that could have transpired as a result, but now they find themselves in a situation, 9,000 gold down, up against the Baron buff, and 2 Mountain Souls as well, 2 Mountain Dragons as well. We've got our names on the screen because they already feel like we need to wrap this one up, but we're going to continue regardless. 25 minutes in, the second inhibitor falls on down through the mid lane as Chiefs look to try and close games out. Chiefs Tien in the bottom side, going for the trifecta. One last ditch effort here for Gravitas to defend this base.
Well, you got to go, right? You can't let all of your base go down. So when is enough enough? Apparently it's not before the triple inhib happens.
They've taken it all. Now they look to try and make something happen. Stopwatches galore, redemption to top them up. That is the sustain gone. Now Praylist, the only sole survivor that can give them heals, that can give them attack speed, that can give them a fighting chance. As the minions come in and swarm their base of aggression. The first Nexus turret falls on down, now working their way towards the second, as Quaku jumps in for a 2-man knockup. He's forced to flash away, he has nothing left in the tank, and Tien is definitely the first one to jump into the fray, to find those kills, to soak up the damage, but he will fall on down, but that's not before this game is said and done. An exposed Nexus, a last-ditch effort, a 4-man flay, as Beats does whatever he can to hold on for dear life. Both AD carries find kills on counterparts. Gravitas are holding. Chiefs are confused. Do we go left? Do we go right? We will end this game. Angry Gaming, said and done. 26 minutes in.
Yeah, I mean, a really impressive performance from the Chiefs there. There were still a couple of holes in the gameplay where you can see that actually the Pentanet.gg lineup was able to punish, but 26 minutes victory is quite quick, Skimmy. In saying that, I think that Gravitas, they're kind of leaving it a little bit too late, if you know what I mean. Like, yeah. Against Order, they waited till they were very far down before they started looking for those side picks on Harry. This game, you know, that was like 10,000-ish gold down before they try and sneak that Baron. I just want to see that kind of fight and that struggle from a little bit earlier on in this game. But, you know, I think new team still looking better than expected.
That they sure are. A fantastic game to open up our count here for day number 2. We're going to jump to a quick break, and when we return, it's the boys for game 2.
Today is the Neosurf Cup, and we're going to be playing against Misfits, so hopefully we can bring home the win.
Neosurf is simple, safe and secure. You can go to your local shop and get a voucher code and use it online, preferably to buy League of Legends skins.
He's got it! This is deadly! He's got it!
Welcome welcome to the 2020 OPL. I am Nick Boy Richardson.
And that's a beautiful hemo play, gone to multiple members. He gets himself a double kill.
It's Ray's doing what he does, the team fight king.
We love everybody. We love the OPL.
If you're craving the taste of your favourites, head to Macca's for a fast, safe and contactless drive-through experience. For your Macca's run, contact-free, we'll be here.